Okay, More Than a Horse is a series brought to you by Woodlands Stud in conjunction with Northern Rivers Equine, Kath McIntosh. This one is also including Benstud. I've got Mark Commadeur. Firstly, Mark, thank you for joining me.
No worries, mate. Appreciate it.
We've got a fan club out to the other side that didn't really want to be in it, but they're happy to be the cheer squad for us. This More Than a Horse is a little bit different. I'm tracking the path of the On the Crest of a Wave American Ideal, which is where both Woodlands and Kath McIntosh come from, because obviously American Ideal stood there. And On the Crest of a Wave is actually now residing here in Benstud in central Victoria.
Absolutely, yep. She came to us after a racing series season finished, and I think we quarantined her for a couple of weeks just to make sure that we were protecting all the rest of our mares in our mob. And I think it was about the 3rd of October was when she first came into the scan, in for her first scan.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I looked at just before. I looked up at the videos, and it was about 3 months ago that a little bit over that I caught up with Kath McIntosh, and she went through the process of what will be happening with the collection of American Ideal.
Yep.
Some people might think I'd forgotten about it and walked away from it, but it actually hasn't happened. This is one of the, I suppose, the intricacies of breeding and the likes. We're happy to report that she's actually got a 42-day positive yesterday.
Yep.
So we
actually, I think it's 28.
28-day positive.
It's 42 just yet. Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll go to the 28-day positive just the other day, and yesterday. Sorry, just for everyone to be aware of, and it's taken this long to get to that actual stage, which is one of the things I want to highlight with people, because I think people think they just they send a mare off to stud, and especially with AI. Just serve it and it'll be in foal and it'll be so simple. It isn't that simple, is it?
Not at all. No, not at all. So it's a big change for them, I think, coming off the track and fitting into a different environment and letting down. She actually, when she came to us, she was cycling already, so she was ready to, or she was starting to be ready to be bred. And I guess it's just like humans. Sometimes people get pregnant, sometimes they don't, and we had other horses that went straight in, and it turns out that she took, I think it was four times we ended up serving her through the season to, off scanning her. So I can give you an idea of the process that we go through. So at the start of the season, probably early, when is it, June, we put with the dry mob, so that all the maidens and all of the horses that didn't foal the year before, we put light masks on them to get them under lights, to get them cycling. And we're lucky with our climate now, our weather up here, that the days are a bit warmer than probably down south. And we found usually when we start scanning that a big percentage of the mares are actually cycling, so they're ready to go. So she missed that period because she was still racing. So when she came in, she was, like I said to you, we brought her in on the 3rd, and I think the first time we ordered was the 18th of the 10th. So it was only a couple of weeks after she went into the mob. So she was cycling, but she didn't ovulate after the first service. So there was nothing really we can do about that. We just start setting her up to go again. Now, with our mobs, of our dry mobs, and with our pregnant mobs, once they've started foaling, they come in 3 days a week for ultrasounds. So they all come through the first day, and then our vet reads the ultrasounds and gives us an idea of whether she needs to see them in a couple of days or 5 days or a week, and then we bring them. So the mob comes up every 2 days, basically, Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays. And we pull out the ones that we want, we scan them, and then they go back to the mob and they go back to the paddock. So from that, we then determine whether they need drugs to set them up for the breed, or whether they, like I said, they come back later in time. So
a lot of people might think that you can just breed them. So she missed. I think you said there on it was about the 18th, or just after the 18th that she missed. I just go straight away. But there is a period that you have to wait, isn't there? It's about 3 weeks. Is that right? Am I right?
We'd usually test for a pregnancy on 2 weeks.
Yep.
So we would, with her, we would have scanned her and said, yep, she's right to go. She gets drugs to get it or ovulate. We order the semen. It was coming from Northern Rivers, so it was turning up here the same day that we'd scanned, and it would go in that night, and then we would check for ovulation the next time, 2 days later when the vet was coming back through, and if she'd ovulated, then it's basically 2 weeks from then we check for a pregnancy, and if there's no pregnancy or no sign of a pregnancy, then we would start again.
And that period is, how long is that period when you start again?
So
Where she's cycling.
yeah, it depends on really where she's cycling at. So
which is a great answer, and the gallery should have had a microphone, but she doesn't want it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the best answer, because there's no timeline.
No.
It'd be probably a lot easier if you could have turned around and said to me a fortnight from you guys' point of view to sell to owners, but there is no timeline. It actually depends on when that horse then comes back to the stage where she's ready to serve again, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the follicles, we've had one of our mares that we weren't able to get into foal this year. She ovulated on a 45 size follicle, 3 or 3 times during the season, and the last one when we set her up to catch her only 10 days or a week ago, she went early on a 35. So we missed it, and there was nothing. We'd actually given her drugs, but she didn't hold out the drugs. So they can absolutely change, and sometimes they just don't progress, or sometimes they go early, and you just got to be on it.
So after 4 attempts, this mare is now in foal. Well, she's 28 day positive, which again doesn't mean that she's in foal, and we hope, for Connections and everyone else, that she does hold it and continue for that period of time. This may even go out after the 42 day test, and we might even wait for it that way if it goes out before it does. There's no rush on when this goes out. But one of the things I try to do with Campbell's Comments full stop is actually educate people, as well as give people an understanding of what does go on behind the scenes. So this mare's been here for 3 months, and people quite often get a shock. They say, I'm going to breed a horse, I'm going to go to American Ideal, who's $10,000, so it's going to have to cost me $10,000 and I'm going to get myself a horse. And it's that easy. It's so simple, and that's what we do. You guys have had to bring the mare up, I don't know how many times there are. They're about 30 times.
30 times, yeah.
So in 3 months she's come up 30 times, which is manpower. Sunday afternoons this year, because of COVID, have been one of the main days. I've done some stuff with Kath McIntosh just recently. She was collecting stallions. I feel for everyone in the breeding. Sundays are just another day. They have been for the last 4 months for people. It's been a very, very long season for people. But this is what people must be aware of when they're talking about collecting and serving mares and the likes. Sundays, you guys have to pay penalty rates when you've got people working here and the likes, and be able to collect it. You also got to work with other studs that are doing the same thing and trying to. So it's this big juggling act, and it's not as simple as just putting a straw inside a mare and saying, right now she's in foal and away we go, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. And like you say, they can come up half a dozen times between being bred and checked again, and going through that, and that can be, and the fresh semen stuff is actually the easiest way to breed them as well, and probably the most the highest percentage, I guess. The frozen stuff's a whole other level as well. We give a horse drugs at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for a frozen semen join, and the vet comes the next day. She does our frozen stuff, so we do our fresh insemination here ourselves, but we get our vet to do our frozen stuff, and she's awesome. And we'll scan the horse 3 times during the night, so it could be a 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or it could be a 7 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, or it can be a 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning scan. And if you've got multiple horses coming through at the same time, well, you need at least 2 people there. So it's not just like you say, it's not just put the semen in and she'll be right. There's actually quite a bit of work that goes to it.
But the flip side of it, it's exciting. I mean,
absolutely.
I've been fortunate enough just to walk past and have a look at some of the weaners just in there now before you bring yearlings in, coming up and all the rest. And it's a whole exciting thing. But this is what I want to do. I want to follow the journey. Hopefully, that she does carry this foal now. What do we class this? It's an embryo, isn't it? I think so. So we've seen
she's a fetus now. Fetus with a heartbeat.
We've got a heartbeat. We've got a picture there that I will put up with. But this is just the start of the whole process. But it is a lot of fun, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And for us, I mean, we get to start the journey when that happens. You know, they're bred, we see them born, we're hands on ourselves, foaling them down during the season while the breeding's going on as well. So that's another aspect to the breeding season, is we're up at 2 o'clock with foaling down most mornings, because that's just what time they go, you know. So you throw that into the mix, and it is a pretty full-on time of year. But we get to see the foals hit the ground, and then we get to see them progress through to the weaning stage now, and then go on to the sales, and then we just love seeing them go on and be great racehorses as well.
That's right. It's a very important part, and that's what I'm trying to do. As I said, it's going to be a long journey. Some of them are going to be short little interviews like this one. Some of them are going to be long ones. Once she's born and there's a foal on the ground, who knows? It could be forever. We might have all the owners and that here too as well.
Absolutely, more than welcome.
So it's an exciting venture. Mark, thank you very much, mate. I've enjoyed it 30 times, so it gives people a bit of an insight anyway. But we're on the way anyway, the American Ideal on the crest of a wave.
Absolutely.
I might have to try and find a nickname for this horse before it's even born, but we'll worry about that. Trace, you were pointing to something. Has Mark covered off on everything?
Did you want to say anything about
No, I don't need to say
good.
that.
All right, we'll be back anyway next time or something like that, and then we'll cover off. We'll make sure we've got everything Trace wants done for us.
Right.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Paul.